our title reader tonight is Linda, although Linda and I have not communicated on this topic, so she's
Me?
facing this. So she's facing this
Nobody told me I
cold.
had to read. Oh, good heavens.
Do
Heart
you
attack.
want to read the titles, Linda, or
Why not?
You're good at it, Linda.
you're better than I
Yeah.
am? Sorry that I've been
Don't let it happen again.
disorganized the past 2 weeks. Our judge tonight is Len Cook.
Welcome back.
Yay!
Welcome,
Yay,
Lynn.
welcome
Thank
back.
you.
Thank you, thank you,
Coming
thank
back.
you.
Len is a very experienced photographer, photojournalist, some 50 years roughly, commercial photographer, teacher, and one of our favorite judges. So he judges for us on these monthly meetings. He judges for us at the end of the year
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah,
So I
we're
really
lucky.
appreciate the support he's giving our club. And so
Glad to be here.
good to have you. Without further ado, I'll pull up a screen.
Critique, feedback, all levels, 3 images.
Yeah, we're starting off with critique feedback, and then we'll go to creative, then journalism, then monochrome, then take a break, and then pictorial. We have a total of 50 entries, probably some 58 images to look at.
Be Before we start, before you go into this is wonderful. These 3 images. Before we view them, I do want to say this, that I am really, really relieved that I did not have to rank these images first, second, third.
They're that good.
Wow, what a relief it was, because I would have been heartbroken. So enough said.
Okay, let's start. Get my cursor in the right place.
Ah,
Oh, Portal to the World, Lumpang, Thailand.
A major element, or a major consideration with every photograph, uh, is you wonder, does it have impact? And of course, this has terrific impact. And the gaze of the child looking right out through this porthole, I don't know what this porthole is. I don't know what it is at all. I assume it's some sort of window, but I don't know. It could be a porthole into lots of different kinds of systems, or filters, or I don't know, a piece of machinery, or a structure of some sort. I don't know. I think we can probably assume that it's a window, but it's kind of an odd shape. In any case, it just fits the child's face, the person's face. And the photographer has given us terrific texture in the porthole itself, and these curtains that are on either side of the child, the um, the fabric, whatever kind of fabric it is it's a very coarse fabric, perhaps like a burlap kind of fabric, and the texture there is very strong, and the texture in the child's skin is good. The texture of the lips, excellent. Little sparkle in the eyes, and the whites of the eyes are just right. Oftentimes, the whites of the eyes are either not bright enough or they're overdone. Here, I think the photographer did it just right. The sepia tone, the brown toning of the picture, the warm toning of the picture seems to suit the skin of the child and seems to suit the overall picture just fine. So, very effective, high impact composition, excuse me, with an enormously dominant main subject. Wow, there's just no getting around this kid's eyes and the kid's face. The one aspect of the picture I think is just a little overdone is the vignette. The picture is self-vignetting in a sense, because of this oval, sort of oval shaped window gives it a vignette of its own. And the photographer has added quite a strong dark vignette around that. And I think that's kind of like bringing coals to Newcastle. You know, we've got enough of a vignette to begin with, and I can understand darkening it down just a little bit, but Consider not quite so dark. The picture brings us, the composition of the picture brings us into the face so strongly that I think a much milder, a much softer vignette would be good. Next image, please.
Where two storm fronts meet.
Can you hear the crash? I can hear the crash. When this picture opened up, this is weather just crashing into itself, crashing into other parts of the weather, and the title is just wonderful. It's two storm fronts meeting, so that suits it perfectly. The top two-thirds of the picture is nothing but sky. But oh my, what a sky it is. And look what the photographer has done with it. The photographer has really, really worked all of the darkness and the contrast he or she can possibly work into this sky to give it a really strong storm-tossed, threatening feel. The threatening emotion in this picture comes out very strongly. Bottom third of the picture is full of greens and some golds. Very nice coloring, a good country feel. One and the lines of the picture, the lines of the clouds and the lines of the foliage and the plants in the foreground, they all bring us right to the center of the picture, right where the storm collision takes place. And I'm going to assume it looks like rainfall right in the center line of the horizon. Excuse me. So that's the storm doing its thing. One comment I have, oftentimes we use contrast in order to amplify two pieces against each other. And here we have a very bright side to the picture, right in almost the center of the right edge of the picture is a very strong highlight, very strongly highlighted clouds, good detail with plants silhouetted against it. Very effective, very strong, but very bright. Now, I would leave that alone. That's good. It's just a real dazzling bright spot in the picture. The problem is the darkness of the grasses and plants underneath it. If we look at how dark those are, and then we look at the left edge of the picture, what we see is the left edge of the foliage is much brighter. I would bring that brightness from the left edge over to the right because the bright area is already causing that bottom right corner to be very dark, just that contrast there. So I don't think that much contrast is necessary here. So I would lighten up that bottom right corner, get it a little bit closer in value to the most of the rest of the foliage. It doesn't have to be bright like the rest of it, but I think because of that white area, the bottom right corner gets too dark. Next image, please.
Eclipse Church.
You know, this is the assumption here is that the eclipse is taking place behind the church. And it's really effective. It's just a different take, a different way to think of an eclipse. Whether the eclipse is taking place behind the church or not, I don't think it was because the eclipse was much higher in the sky, I believe. In any case, the church is eclipsing the sunset. Let's put it that way. I can see that the church is eclipsing the sunset, and it works very well. Again, we have this quite a bright sky. It's not as bright as in the previous picture, that white area that I was talking about, the white cloudy area in the previous picture. This sky isn't anywhere near that bright, but boy, it sure looks really bright. Again, because it is set behind this church, because it is set beside this very large dark area. And the photographer cleverly and very effectively used some of that bright sky to peek through a window also. So we have an extra light element there. Again, here, it's pretty interesting too that we have some stars in the sky up in the upper corners of the picture, all the way across the top. Stars in the sky. That's terrific. It's just a really nice touch. Once again, I'm thinking, gee, does the church, does the structure itself need to be quite that dark? And I think the picture might retain its graphic integrity and graphic power, even if the lighter part of the church in particular were brought up one or even two stops in brightness, significantly brighter. Not up to daylight brightness by any means. I'm not suggesting that. It's just a little a little bit more, a little bit brighter, a little bit more contrast, and I think the graphic integrity would still be maintained, and I think it would kind of add to the picture, add a little bit of stronger uh, emotional value, a little bit stronger tactile sense to the picture. That's it. 3 pictures. I'm glad I didn't have to rank them.
Creative, intermediate, 1 image.
Oh, I love the, oops, sorry.
Oh, my fault. What do we see? Windows, trellis, and street scenes.
Well, I took a picture like that once. It was in the stairway to an art gallery, and it was the same kind of textured glass, and out behind it was a bunch of stuff. So I'm pretty partial to this picture. The photographer has a nice composition here. There are very few colors in the picture, but the photographer put them in a good position in the upper, kind of toward the upper third of the picture to use them in the composition pretty strongly. That gives us a ground on which to settle the rest of the picture, and then we have that white kind of pale stripe across the uh, the bottom third line. So good composition, good use of the colors, fun picture. Next image, please.
Creative, advanced, 3 images. Sunset, Rincon Valley.
Well, we've got intentional camera movement here, and that helps to stretch out the whatever horizontal lines existed in the cloudscape here, plus a couple of horizontal lines, perhaps automobiles or other highlights in the scene. I'm guessing car headlights in the lower right corner here, lower right portion of the picture. So we have those, and we have all of these lines just stretched out into a very strong horizontal composition. And again, the photographer has given us a kind of, well, a very strongly rule of thirds composition. We have a dark band starting from the right edge of the picture, 1/3 of the way down from the top. And then we have the bottom third of the picture is just plain black, except for relief from those white stripes. Good use of small elements, and this is a good use of the intentional camera movement. Next image, please.
A single drop of dew.
Oh, Dewdrop Inn. An old name for a motel, right? Dewdrop. Okay, so a dewdrop, again, this is relying very strongly on composition and a kind of an unusual approach to balance. We have the dewdrop itself, the main subject, hovering near the left edge of the picture, and then that's sort of balanced by this very bright white highlight on the right edge, almost touching the right edge of the picture. So that's a different kind of balance. And the composition is primarily in warm tones throughout, the yellows and golds, with just a couple of spots of complementary colors in the blue and purple range. So the photographer has used a couple of tiny little bits of color pretty effectively, some in the main subject, the dewdrop, and some in the background. Interesting use of balance and composition, a different approach to balance. Usually the balance is accomplished by a darker or heavier element balancing the main subject. Here it's with lighter element. Next image, please.
Translation, difficult.
It certainly is difficult. I was tempted to stand on my head to look at this picture. I tried turning my screen upside down, but that didn't work. Uh, and anyway, it's a fascinating platform of some kind, and we're looking at it sort of upside down and backwards, and it's just an interesting composition, lots of reflections. We can even, if we look long enough, we can even find a person in the composition, and that to save you the looking around, it's up in the upper left corner of the picture. We can see a person reflected twice. So it's a high impact, a real optical puzzle because it takes a lot of figuring. It took me anyway, a lot of figuring to figure out how this worked and what it was. When I finally realized that it was, well, I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give it away. Very effective use of the materials on hand, very effective use of the subject for a real optical puzzle. Good job. Next image, please.
Creative masters, 1 image. Night light.
This is usually done. You don't always know how it's done, but this is usually done with steel wool. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You can get a piece of steel wool burning and you put it on the end of a string or a wire and you start swirling it around like this. And as the steel wool burns, of course, it throws off all these sparks. And the photographer, quite wisely, chose to throw off all these sparks inside some kind of a tunnel or a tube or I hesitate to call it a sewer, but anyway, it's inside some kind of a tunnel and it's not throwing sparks all over the landscape, which would be certainly with today's news, it would certainly be considered a criminal act to throw them around the landscape. But the photographer has given us a terrific exposure because we can see all of this brightness against the walls, and it gives us this really eerie feeling. And still, we have the very strong spiral right in the center of this burning, whatever it is, torch or flare or steel wool, whatever it is, being twisted and spun around in circles, and the composition is very strong and the action is terrific. So, and then what it does to the environment, what it does to the lighting the scene is very, very helpful. Gives us a real spooky feeling all the way around. Good job. Next image.
Journalism, advanced, 2 images. What's up? It's clear why bull riding is considered the most dangerous 8 seconds in sports. Cottonwood Rodeo, May 10th, 2014.
Well, the caption says something important here. We can see this bull is going over backwards, and we can see one of the rider's legs sticking up beside the bull, still up there like that. And you wonder, okay, where's the other leg? Oh my gosh. One hopes that it's loose from under the bull, but this bull is rolling over and it's going to roll on this guy. And all of that is just explicit in the picture. The danger is explicit. It's not implied at all. The danger is explicit. And then the bull itself, of course, the face of the bull is looking right at us, and you're next. Terrific action picture, well composed, and the rodeo clown or assistant in the background, with his diagonal stance running to the rescue is a big help in the picture. So very strong storytelling picture, terrific sports image, page one sports. Next image, please.
Thai rubber, 1 of 4. Rubber trees grow in rows in the Kanchanaburi province of southern Thailand. There are 2,000 trees on this small farm. 2 of 4. The rubber farmer makes another cut to release the sap from the tree. He starts working at midnight because more sap is released in the cooler hours of the evening morning. 3 of 4. The factory is small. The farmer, a Mon refugee from Myanmar, says he is happy to have found a life and livelihood in Thailand. 4 of 4. The latex dries in the sun, waiting to be sold to manufacturers.
Of course, this is not news. The bull rider, of course, is sports news. This is not news. This is documentary. This is talking about a way of life in another country and documenting the process of harvesting and preparing latex, getting it from the trees and processing it and preparing it for sale to buyers, wholesalers. So the documenting is important, especially when we're dealing with those who are still farming on a very small scale. They're disappearing fast. This is an effective picture using very strong leading lines here. Yeah, that's good. And then this helps to tell the story. It shows just exactly how the farmer is cutting into the tree. And that's a good way to go from trees to the next step, which is a cut in the tree. And then we have the next step here where he's processing the liquid that comes out of the tree and it shows how crude the process seems to be. This is a pretty crude looking processing setup here. Very old, antique looking instruments and the result. So here we have the result and it's showing us what the farmer has produced. And here is the latex absorbed into fabric pattern, fabric sponges for export or for pickup by the manufacturers. So good job, well exposed, good, strong storytelling pictures at every step. Nice work. Next image, please.
Journalism masters, 1 image. High Tide Day, 1 of 4. Each year, the city of San Rafael presents an event focused on rising sea levels on the day of a king tide. Exhibits such as this model explain impacts on vulnerable areas. 2 of 4. Docents help volunteers with costumes in a skit to explain king tides. 3 of 4. Docents led small groups on walking tours to view the effects of high water levels in various parts of San Rafael, the most vulnerable city in the area to rising sea levels. 4 of 4. Volunteers from UC Berkeley teach participants how to take various measurements, such as salinity levels of the encroaching water. These can be compared from year to year.
This is the local story in some ways. Of course, we are all aware that rising ocean levels worldwide are going to have even more effect on king tides locally. So this story really does a good job of documenting this year's king tides and explaining to people from a little bit different standpoint. We often see king tides stories about cars splashing through the water and people on bicycles riding through the water in lots of different areas in San Rafael. This one takes a little bit different tack and goes toward a different kind of story, but more just as effective story presentation. Here is the map and shows what the city is doing to try to model the effect of the tides. Next image. and it has a little bit of fun. Oh, what a silly! Looks like she's going to wear a pizza for the king tide, but we can see that people are enjoying themselves here. And then here, another one with the kids splashing along. I mean, how can kids avoid splashing in the water? The fellow on the right side has his Nike swoop shoes on, so maybe he's being a little more cautious. Envying the boots, though. And then we have checking the salinity with a device that uses the bright sky to help define the salinity in the water. So good story, well told, different approach telling the story of king tides in San Rafael. Worthwhile picture set for local newspaper. Next image, please.
Monochrome, basic plus intermediate, 2 images. Jackal.
Jackal. Oh my goodness. This is a couple of different things we want to be aware of here. That there are things that we can do with a picture. We could use a little bit tighter. We could turn this into a square picture, and it would be just as effective. The out of focus area up at the top isn't really necessary. We could trim a lot of that out of focus area. Also, and this is something you're going to hear. I took a look at all the pictures, and this is something I'm going to abbreviate in the next set, in the rest of the pictures. I'm going to abbreviate this complaint, and that is look at the histogram after you have finished the picture and you think it's ready to go. You want to check the histogram to make sure you have white whites and black blacks. The contrast in this image is pretty good. I think it could use a little more brightening. We could use a little bit of sharpening too on the animals, on the jackal's coat, particularly if we get a little more sharpening in the ears. Next image, please.
Shadows always create magic.
Yes, indeed. The the little circles of light here are images of the sun, and also I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if they are images of the eclipse, because when the sun was passing through the branches of the trees during an eclipse, this is exactly what the eclipse looked like being cast on the ground. Or uh, so this may be, I don't know, but it may be an image of the eclipse as it's being cast on the ground through the tree. But in any case, that's what those little circles are, the image of the sun being projected through little bits of leaves, openings in the leaves. So fun image, good image of the sun, good contrast, could use a little bit stronger treatment on the contrast. Seems that the thing that's mostly in focus is this piece of wrought iron in the bottom part of the picture. But in any case, and the wall itself is in focus. So good job. Interesting image, particularly for all those little circles. Next image, please.
Monochrome advanced, 4 images. Hanging out at Bodega Head.
And this is one where really the idea is you want to get a little more snap to the picture, a little more contrast. You take a look at the histogram, and if the histogram isn't quite energetic enough, if you haven't reached the left side and the right side of the histogram, then you go to the levels control. All the photo editors have a levels control in them. And you go to the levels control and you grab the right side of the levels control and you bring it over until it touches the data in the levels control. And then you bring the left side over just a little bit. In this case, maybe not at all, but at least some, until it also touches the data, so that you get a little bit more contrast. More energy in the highlights would help this picture quite a bit. So from now on, I'm just going to yell histogram and try to remember what I just said. Use the levels control to expand that histogram. Uh, Kind of a fun picture. It's a monochrome. We're trying for that. We're trying for that expression of tones and values. So that's where the picture kind of falls a little bit short, kind of flat. Next image, please.
Behind the scenes.
This is a really good example. This one really makes it. Makes it all the way to the right, makes it all the way to the left, makes it perfectly from the left, and makes it all the way to the right. And so technically, this is a superlative image. Also, mysteriously, it's also kind of mysterious in the shapes of the people, the shapes of the figures in the picture. Sort of, kind of, one of them is easily a person. The others are not so easily persons. What are they? What's going on? So there's a kind of an optical puzzle or kind of a mental puzzle going on. The additional element in this picture that I find really attractive, the composition, I think, is quite good. And this circular line reaches from the right edge of the picture, just sweeping around, cutting the picture in half, right over to the shadows is a really good leading line, I think. And along with the brickwork or the uh, blocks, the cement blocks forming the wall. All of those are nice lines leading over to the shadows. I'm reminded of Plato's story about the illusions. I am sitting in a cave looking at shadows on a wall, and I never do get to see the real thing. So, and I'm reminded of Plato's cave. So, good image, brings up a lot of different ideas. Technically excellent. Next image, please.
Black-eyed Susan.
Yeah, well, this is another one. The highlights are very bright. The shadows are very dark. The darkest parts are extremely dark. The composition is really strong. We've got one huge element, high impact element, right in the center. And overall, it's the overall effect is quite dark. The Here again, I think I think the vignette is a little bit overstated. I can understand wanting to have the corners of the image darkened down just a little bit, but gee, the main subject here is so strong. The main element of the subject is so strong that maybe just a little less, a little lighter hand, a little lighter touch on the vignette would be helpful. So, good, strong picture, high impact, wonderful close up. Next image, please.
Through the ages.
Histogram. Hello. Histogram. Working with the levels would help here a lot. That's enough said. The composition is kind of interesting. The photographer has chosen to walk to a position beside these stones where we have kind of a river of light running down from the top of the delta at the top of the picture down through the bottom into the bottom third of the picture. So, and with the tree in the background. So the stones obviously very old, lots of very old stuff in the picture. Don't know quite how old, but it's I'm going to guess that it's older than I am, which means it's pretty darn old. People pay to see things that are older than I am. So an interesting composition, good use of that river of light coming down the center. Next image, please.
Monochrome Masters. 9 images. Oh, the
Oh,
encroaching sea. Duh.
uh, I've been talking about enhancing contrast. Sometimes we can get a little carried away, and I think the photographer got a little carried away here, where we have a little bit, we've lost some of the quality of the surf. We have a lot of black in the surf itself. The surf line along the left edge, the upper left edge of the picture, where you've got bubbling, burbling surf. has, it seems to me, just a little bit too much black mixed in. I don't think the sand gets tossed up quite that strongly or is quite that evident in the surf ordinarily. The graphics of it, the graphic effect of it, however, the way the photographer has stacked it all up is quite powerful. We've got a long lens at work here, a telephoto lens, and the telephoto lens helps to concentrate our attention on just a small aspect of a landscape. And in so doing, it gives us that that so-called telephoto compression. It's not actually a compression, it's just a very narrow angle of view on a big scene. So, uh, very strong composition, high energy composition, high energy graphics, perhaps a little bit more in the grayscale through the surf itself would be helpful. Next image.
Roaring through turn number 2, Sonoma Raceway.
Oh, histogram. Get that. Take a look at the levels control. Strong picture, good action picture. Look at this. The background is just blown away. The photographer is moving the camera so fast that the background is just blown away. Classic racing type picture. And it shows up also in the wheels. You see the wheels are just turned into the center of the wheels, the hubs of the wheels are just turned into blurs, and parts of some of the cars are a little blurry, all really exciting. And the photographer has captured, in particular, the foreground car. I think that's a BMW. Looks kind of like a BMW grill. In any case, zooming along and really well rendered, very sharply rendered, and very effective racing picture, showing a pretty crowded little area. You don't have that intense tailgating, but it's still a pretty exciting image. Exciting image and good sports image. Kind of a different image to be presenting in a monochrome because we don't see a lot of motor racing images in monochrome. Strong. Next image, please.
Misty Morning.
Mystifying morning. Yeah, this is a very spooky looking picture. Lots of textures, wonderful rendering of the light coming through the mist in the sky, the mist in the air in the forest. The tangles at the bottom, down near the bottom here, show us that you're not going to be walking through these anytime soon without a lot of difficulty. So it is all about textures, strange shapes, and a spooky feeling. Very effective, really wonderful presentation of a delightful looking scene and rendered in a way to make it just spooky and spiritual looking. Good job. Next image, please.
Single-handed foiling. Sail GP San Francisco.
Yeah, look at this in the levels control. I'm telling you, it could be, we could stand both ends. So again, a nice sports picture. Gee, look at this foil cutting through the water on the bottom there. Just terrific. And the sailor is leaning way out, hiking way out over the side. You wonder, gee, just how long is it going to be before we get a little bit of a wet butt there? But they don't care, do they? I guess they're wearing wetsuits anyway. So lots of fun. It's a fun image, intense and very effective, showing a very strong moment. We don't have to always have the whole sail in the picture. This is good stuff. The foil slicing through the water. Look at all those little sparkly bits and dancing through the air from the foil. Good effective sports picture in addition to being very strong composition and a good uh, monochrome entry, good monochrome rendering. Little brighter could help. Next image, please.
Texas Longhorn.
Terrific portrait. The photographer really made good use of the background here, darkened it. The composition is quite good. The bulk of the composition is on the left side, but it's kind of sort of balanced delicately by that one horn reaching out, just stretching out almost to the right side of the picture, right edge of the picture. Wow, almost. And that helps to balance it out and provide a very strong composition, high impact picture. The uh, the horn that, as we look at the animal, the horn on the left side is kind of merged with the not merged, but not doesn't stand out as well against the coat of the animal, which really adds to the extra impact of the horn on the our right hand side against the black background. But all told, there's no question about it. This is a very well-horned steer. So, and high impact picture. I shouldn't joke around too much, but it's a high impact picture with lots of good texture in addition to lots of beautifully rendered tones. Next image, please.
Morning gossip. Lake Inle, Myanmar.
Yeah, really strong composition here. We have a lot of evidence about the scene. The you want to have impact, and we have impact in the picture with this woman's face on the right. She's glancing over in our direction very slightly, like she's looking at something that's coming up right beside my left side. Right on my left side, something else is coming along into the scene. The other woman is concentrating on her. It's clearly a conversation going on, and the woman on the right is thinking about something, perhaps what the other woman just said. So, a story is happening here. We've got impact, we've got a storytelling picture, and we can imagine lots of things going on. We have nice, bright highlights, terrific skin texture. Even though the skin is quite dark, it's really believable. It's a very believable look for these women, one of whom is a little bit older and one of whom is looks middle-aged perhaps. But also, along with those highlights, we have look at all that wonderful shadow detail in the back. We're not losing anything in the background. The photographer did a really terrific job here of maintaining highlight and shadow detail. Next image, please.
Sword fern spores.
There's a portrait of a plant, and we've got these. Its reproduction mechanism is these spores that are forming on the underside of his leaves. I think those are the underside of the leaf. In any case, the frond is covered with ferns in the making here, and the photographer has done a good job. Again, this is really strong contrast. This is what we have. We're using the entire range of available contrast in the medium. And that's one of the things that Ansel Adams stressed. You want to use as much of the medium, as much of the brightness range as you possibly can in the medium in which you're working. And paper-based white is what he called it, and then good strong blacks. And here we have that very strong white in some specular highlights and really strong contrast in the gravelly bottom underneath the fern. So look at all those lines describing the fern's vein structure. Good job, wonderful composition, good impact. Next image, please.
On the moat.
Oh, this one really cries out for an expanded contrast range. Histogram, histogram, histogram. The flow of the picture, of course, seems to be it's one direction or the other. It's coming from the middle of the left-hand edge of the picture. If the river is flowing toward us, it just flows down in a great big uh, fan flowing out and toward us in the foreground here, expanding completely in the foreground, a big triangular shape. Triangles are lovely, helpful, and it also gives a sense of direction to the picture. So that sense of direction is very strongly assisted by the way the foliage on the opposite shore goes from a very large compositional element tapering down in a strong triangular shape to almost a disappearing point, certainly the vanishing point at the end of that line of foliage. And this is where the vanishing point is for the foliage and for the stream. And included right adjacent to the vanishing point is we have a dock structure or a couple of boats here. So strong composition, good use of infrared. I'd really like to see a stronger and more emphatic use of contrast in the picture. Next image, please.
Fog over Sonoma.
Wow, strong use of contrast and dynamic range in the picture. Look at this, going from darkest blacks to brightest whites, and lots and lots and lots of wonderful grays in between. Full range picture, terrific, really strong composition, terrific use of the fog and the clouds. So we get this turbulence in the sky. Isn't that amazing? These things tossing and turning. It looks like surf up there in the sky. And then the skyline of the mountains itself that gives us a very strong top third to the picture, and the picture is cut right there. The picture is just cut. The photographer has allowed the fog that's just below the peaks of the mountains to cut right across the middle of the picture, separating that third line, that one-third line of the mountain crest from the rest of the picture. And then at the bottom, we have another one-third line running from all the way across the picture, from side to side, sandwiched between two layers of fog. Striking compositional choices on the part of the photographer, and a rendering of it in post-production that really emphasizes those elements beautifully. Really strong picture. I love it. This is just terrific use of the elements in the picture. Next image, please.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. We've covered all but pictorial. We have another 24 entries to
Pictorial, basic plus intermediate, 5 images.
put my cursor right here.
Against the glow of grapevine rose, aflame in golden light, a pair of snowy egrets glides into the marsh for the evening.
It says I was muted. Oh my goodness. My wife has asked for a control like that for me, but it just hasn't worked out. Uh, so Grapevine rose. Yeah. Yeah. That really makes the picture, really makes the picture. And the photographer timed it quite nicely with, you see that kind of an opening in the grapevine rose above the bird, uh, between the two birds, actually. And that really helps the composition also. So the timing there is terrific. The two birds against the grapevine, against the bright background like that, really holds up well. The timing also is excellent because of the two different wing positions of the birds. It tells us a lot about them. It's informative as well as beautiful. Terrific pictorial image, very nicely done, nice action image, and wow, those grapevines in the background really sets this apart from almost all of the other egrets and flight pictures that I have seen before. So, and I've seen a ton of them. So, and we all have, of course. So, we want something to set us apart, to distinguish our pictures from everything that has gone before. Success here. Next image, please.
Pale, chanting, goshawk.
So, histogram, histogram, histogram. we could certainly stand a lot of brightening up. The picture is dull. The tones in the picture are dull. They don't need to be dull. The composition is strong. Of course, it's quite singular. We've got a bird on a branch, which is not quite the action picture that we have with the egrets. A difference here is that the goshawk has one foot raised, which adds a little bit of interest, particularly since we can see right through the foot. But we can certainly stand brightening in the picture. Next image, please.
The sun sets on three friends heading home after a perfect day, tossing frisbees to one another on a Santa Monica beach.
Mood, mood, mood. What a wonderful mood picture. The sunset mood. People, there's just a little bit of a sag to the way these fellows are posed as they're walking along. There's a little bit of fatigue. They're all looking down slightly. So this tells me end of the day, and of course the sun is setting, and that also is evidence of the end of the day. It's a real strong composition. Look how high the horizon is on this picture. The photographer took the horizon almost out the top of the picture. So, and the photographer had choices, of course. Could have put the horizon right out the top of the picture, or could have got down a little bit lower and got the horizon lower also. But good choice of composition, terrific use of the sunset in the upper right corner there. Very effective composition, wonderful mood, and delightful overall wash of color. Next image, please.
Cowboy enjoying a smoke break.
The Marlboro man got old, huh? And he changed his brand. So, yeah, this is a clearly iconoclastic kind of guy. He's out there doing his own thing, his own way, with that um, tremendous handlebar. And that's not a handlebar. I forget what kind of mustache that's called, but it's a statement mustache, no question about it. And then he's got those yellow glasses to go along with it. Fascinating portrait. Fascinating portrait. So pictorial image, but it could be just plain portraiture. The lighting is just right. The photographer has exposed it just right and timed it beautifully with the puffs of smoke emerging from this guy's face, emerging from his mouth, through somehow making it through his mustache. Strong story character study. Next image, please.
Island reflections.
Yeah, water reflections pictures uh, are kind of tricky. They have to be fairly strong to really work. They need pretty strong elements to really work. The idea is what we see a reflection, and we see the reflection from across the water, and then we turn the picture upside down and turn the reflection so that it looks right side up. That's an interesting idea. And it has been used enough so that you have to bring an extra element to the picture, an extra piece of creativity. And this one doesn't quite have the extra element needed to bring us beyond the run-of-the-mill reflection picture. The blues and greens are nice, but they're not particularly intense. They're kind of cloudy. Again, we could use a little more saturation, a little more contrast to bring it up to a more lively image. So work on the contrast. I think that alone will improve the image, but work especially on added elements. We have to get beyond what we've seen before. Next image, please.
Pictorial advanced. 9 images. Jaguar cub learning to swim.
Every show, every competition has to have that, oh, cute image. And this is it. Here it is. Oh, so sweet. Yeah. wild animals in affectionate scenes like this, and wild animals with their young, really strong image. It has high impact. The cub is looking straight back at us and hanging on to mom. There are so many ways this can tug on our hearts. And the photographer has succeeded, certainly succeeded in tugging on my heart. The long lens in use has blurred the background and simplified the composition quite a bit by narrowing it down to just this view. The texture of mama's coat versus the sleek slickness of baby's coat, now soaking wet. All of these things, the texture of baby's whiskers, and this one kind of squint in baby jaguar's left eye there, or eye on our right, kind of squinting like maybe there's a drop of water dropping into the eye. There's a lot of things going on in the picture, and droplets falling off the jaguar's face toward the water. Lots of things happening in the picture in addition to the sweet aspect of it. Good job. Wonderful timing, good presentation. Next image, please.
The Great Divide.
Yeah, yeah. The picture is divided in half. We've got a uh, ratio here, that an aspect ratio of the panorama type, so that's a long horizontal picture side to side, and the cloud line just cuts the picture directly in half, and it also cuts the flock of geese almost perfectly in half. And so, what a wonderful, wonderful alignment of elements here, the clouds, the geese, and then you've got one nice, big, dark element at the bottom of the picture with a couple of geese that are kind of hidden in the dark element, but it works anyway. So, a balanced lines of geese, a balanced composition top to bottom, and the only thing breaking up the balance is this wonderful big tree, and that breaks up the balance in the geese and in the composition. So the photographers made lots of good choices here in terms of aspect ratio, contrast, and uh, rendering of the final image. Nice colors in the background. Oh, those pinks and magentas. Next image, please.
Bill, cursor on screen.
Thank you.
Divinity of Nature.
Crepuscular. Isn't that a wonderful word? Crepuscular. Those are crepuscular rays. It sounds kind of like a disease of some sort, an irritation in the skin. I don't know. But they are, as the rays of the sun come through the clouds, they give us this and light up the haze underneath and above the clouds, the atmospheric haze. They give us this radiating look, this radiant look, and those rays, as they become visible like that through the mist, those are called crepuscular rays, and that is the divinity aspect of this for sure. But then you have the flocks of birds also. The photographer has given us a fairly simple composition that beautifully features the the sun coming through the atmosphere in just such a lovely way. Charming image, nice rendition, good use of those flocks and flocks of birds, good timing there. So lots of natural stuff going on in the picture. Wonderful rays of sun, wonderful crepuscular rays. Next image, please.
A colorful wintry day.
We go from a huge landscape filled with crepuscular rays, sunshine coming through the clouds, lighting up spots, and here we have a cloudy day, really overcast, no sunshine visible at all. And instead of a giant landscape, we have an intense close-up, really getting close on these fruits of this plant. I'm not familiar with the plant, so I don't know what these berries are or these blossoms. They look kind of like rose hips, but I could be wrong. In any case, really intense close-up, wonderful texture. So it's all about these shapes and the texture and the out of focus background, which is full of color. The shapes and the textures are almost absent. The color is almost absent from them. Whatever color is there is really low saturation. But in the background, look at that. We have purples and oranges and reds and intense greens. So really strong difference between the subject foreground and the colorful background. Nicely done. It's a good observation and well presented. And terrific texture, nice and sharp, sharp, sharp. And that helps the texture of these things a lot. And one more thing. Oh, look, it's a very strong diagonal composition. It doesn't reach all the way up to the upper left corner, but we still have a nice diagonal line poking out through the bottom right corner. Now, I am a sucker for diagonal lines in images. So good job. Next image, please.
Behind every great man.
Yeah, there she is, and she's looking out at us and saying, "See, this is my man. Look how hard he's working." And I'm guessing that this is a ceremony of some kind, a ceremonial dance of some kind, and the the fellow is going into the dance, or is participating in the dance. Uh, and the composition is really bold. He just jumps right out at us at first, and we see his tongue sticking out through his lips here with the effort he's going through, whether it's concentration or physical effort of some kind. But then after just a second or two, oh, look, she's staring right at us. She's looking right at. So there's a nice surprise in the picture. Good tones overall. The exposure is quite good. I love the greens in the palm fronds that are resting on this guy's shoulders. I love those greens. It's a fairly low contrast, fairly low saturation green, but it's just really nice. All the rest of the colors, the red on his chest and the headdress, all really intense saturation. So that makes a nice contrast between all of that intense saturation and this low saturation in the pale and lovely greens. And then her eyes. That just completes the picture. Next image, please.
Tempest.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is we're I'm descending into the dark place, I'm afraid. So this is a nightmarish looking scene, a tempest indeed, a sunset and a wild cloud, or it could even be a volcanic eruption for all I know. The clouds of steam and sulfur and smoke rising from a volcano, that could be. In any case, it's wild. They're wild looking clouds in a wild looking sunset sort of light. Very effective composition. Again, I was talking about diagonal lines, and we have two major diagonal lines in this image. One that starts in the upper right corner and descends down through the very bright and curly and tempestuous looking clouds, and then another one that starts in the upper left corner and then comes down to intersect at the very base of the picture. So real strong V-shaped composition, all big triangles. V-shaped composition, big triangles, makes for a lot of power in the picture, along with this powerful weather front. Next image, please.
A flock of feathers.
Yeah, this is a much more distributed composition. We've had several compositions that have very strong focal points, very strong center of interest. Here, the center of interest is just missing. There's no center of interest in the picture at all. And oftentimes when I see a picture with no center of interest, I say, hey, this has no center of interest and really needs one, and it's a failure of the picture. Well, no, this is all about the textures and the detail, and we can get lost searching around through the feathers and examining that detail and seeing all the different little shapes and little bits and twists and the way all these different feathers look. we can we can use up a lot of curiosity going through this picture and get a lot of satisfaction from it. So, a distributed composition without a center of interest sometimes works very well indeed, and this one, that all that detail, that varied detail, works very well indeed. All warm tones, but the blues in here, in the pale tones, they're cold. It's very cold looking. It looks like feathers in a cold environment. And so warm feathers, cold environment. Nice contrast in thought there. Nice contrast in mood. Next image, please.
I dreamt I saw the aurora borealis above Lake Sonoma.
It, it, who'd have thought you'd be seeing the aurora borealis the night the who'd have thought you'd be seeing them in your hometown here in California? But there they are. There it is. The northern lights down south. But nice rendering, captured nice color, a couple of different zones of magentas and reds here, and also some of the stars of the night sky. And oh, look, we've got one little white light down in the lower left part of the picture, and that adds a nice earthly accent to the image. Also, night sky pictures are greatly helped, in my opinion, when you have good detail in the land part of the picture, the terrestrial part of the picture that goes along with the astronomical image. And the photographer did a beautiful job here. And the reflection on the water, nice, really well done. Next image, please.
A braided river in the Altai wilderness surrounded by fall colors and distant light snow, remote western Mongolia.
I mentioned uh, I mentioned center of interest. What's the focal point of the picture? And here, a little while ago, and I said sometimes I say I ask, gee, what's the center of interest? And here I'm kind of concerned about the center of interest. We see a composition, a landscape composition, and we see this river flowing. I would assume that the river is flowing from the background on the right, from those slopes down toward us. I'm assuming that. So the river is flowing down toward us and getting wider as it approaches us. But the evidence for that isn't all that strong. So uh, the and it is looking into the distance, and it's a lovely scene. It's very nice, and I'm kind of wishing that there was just a little bit stronger center, focal point in the picture, a center of interest. Perhaps, in any event, the here again, we could use more contrast in all of the bottom part of the picture. We have some nice bright white up in the clouds, but I'm sure it would have been possible to get a little more contrast and a little bit better saturation in the lower part of the picture, which would have added perhaps the necessary energy to boost this picture up in impact and viewer esteem just a little bit. Perhaps there's a band of yellow trees, yellow foliage running up the left side of the picture there. And I think bringing those up higher, bringing those up in a stronger highlight would have been the focal point that the picture needed. Next image, please.
Pictorial masters 10 images. The chosen one.
Oh my goodness, focal point? Did I say center of interest? Boy, there's no mistaking it on this one, is it? The chosen one. This thing just jumps out of the background, just jumps out of the scene right at us. I like also that there is a stripe of sunlight running up the rocks on just to the right of the center of interest of the picture, just to the right of that peak, that crown, we have another larger crown with the sunlight running right up to the top of it. And that helps to bring us up into the upper part of the picture. We might have gotten lost there just a little bit by just focusing on the center of interest in the picture, but this other highlight brings us up into the background a little bit. And then we start to see, look at all these stripes. The stripes, these are all layers and layers of millennia, just layer after layer of millennia laid down and then cut to pieces by river and storms and all kinds of different weather. Just an amazing landscape here. Very strong center of interest, of course, and really well done. The mystery of the background is it's dark, but it works. And then once we start to examine it, you just see all those lines and just think, wow, this is eons, eons on display. Next image, please.
Ending of a desert storm.
Histogram. Histogram and color saturation. I think we could add it's a fun picture, lovely rainbow. We got a double rainbow going on here. And if we added a little bit of saturation, it would help the picture. A little bit of saturation in the foreground, certainly in the land down below, and some contrast, a little more contrast to clear up some of the haze. I understand, of course, that it's rain, and that's what's giving us the rainbow. But still, adding a little more energy to the picture is going because the sun is coming right over our shoulders. Adding a little more saturation, which is something that comes with the sun coming over your shoulder. A little more saturation and a little bit of levels control, brightening up the highlights and giving us a little more black to work with would be a big help in this picture. Please give it a try. See if you can add the energy to the picture. Next image, please.
A magical evening at Goat Rock.
Yeah, here's a real strong sunset, uh, post sunset picture, the blue hour. There's only a touch or two, just a few touches of the golden light and the reddish light from the sunset, a few touches of it up there in the clouds, but the rest of the landscape is just lost to the blue of the evening. And uh, once again, I'm not here. Oh, look, Len, you can complain about the lack of contrast. No, I'm not going to, because this is a nighttime, it's basically a nighttime picture, and you're going to lose all that contrast because of the dark. There's enough detail in the shadows. The blacks in the picture are quite satisfying. The highlights in the picture and the water, it's just right for this time of the evening. Not quite dark, but really close, really getting close to dark. We have a roadway in the lower right corner of the picture here, and that seems like such a lonely road right at this moment. Good job on the part of the photographer. A nice capture of the colors. Next image, please.
Reflections, organ pipes of the Sagrada Familia, Barcelona, Spain.
A lot of fun. This is an interpretation, of course, of the pipes. And the interpretation here celebrates the rainbow colors that the myriad colors that are surrounding this thing, coming in through the windows, the stained glass windows surrounding these pipes. So this helps this gives us a really good sense of the colorful nature of the interior of this place. The Sagrada Familia, of course, is uh, an incredibly famous piece of architecture, Gaudi, and the all of the windows there, everything is suggested. The incredible architecture is suggested in the reflection on these pipes. So really basic composition, get up close to these things, use a wide angle lens and get all of those reflections in it. Good job. Again, maybe just a little heavy on the vignette, maybe just a little heavy on the vignette, but overall, good job. Wonderful rendering of colors. Good, strong composition, high impact. Next image, please.
High surf advisory at Goat Rock.
We've got two kinds of surf here. We've got the surf itself where we see the wind blowing like a hurricane against the surf that's coming in. And as it blows against the surf, the offshore breeze picks the water up, just picks it right out of the surf and just blows it back into the ocean where it came from in a great big fog. And it's explosive. The impact of the water is explosive. The other kind of surf we've got is the left corner, the whole left side of the picture. This is like a wave of rock that is trying to match this wave of ocean water that's crashing in on the right side of the picture. And it's like the rock is surf as well as the ocean. So the rock is surfing as well as the ocean. And in a sense, over a very long time, that's kind of true, actually, because of the idea about tectonic plates surfing one over another over a much, much longer scale, of course. So we've got rock surf and we've got wild and beautiful and crushing wave coming in. Wonderful portrait of an wonderful intimate portrait of a section of ocean. Delightful. Very strong image. Good contrast scale, good dynamic range. Nicely done. Next image, please.
Rear view.
Yeah, we're dealing with multiple reflections here. The objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. What? No, it doesn't say that on this. But so we're looking in the mirror, and as we look in the mirror, we see the sunset behind us, in the distance, and also we see in the mirror reflections on glass. So we're looking at the sunset from a couple of different angles, seeing it from a couple of different viewpoints here, and never, at no point are we looking directly at the sunset itself. So we've got kind of an optical puzzle that it takes a minute or two to sort out. And I love optical puzzles. The colors here are very strong, really well saturated, good contrast, and nice sparkle where it needs to be sparkly. Good job. Fun picture. Next image, please.
Buzzed.
Buzzed. I hate you. I hate you. Oh my gosh, look at that. The bee sitting on a flower like that. How many times have I shot a picture like that? And then another bee coming in for a landing. That's why I hate you. I have never had two bees in a picture like that. I guess I hang around in the wrong bee neighborhoods. So terrific action, just a wonderful picture. The bee in the close-up, of course, is just beautifully rendered, so sharp. Just a perfect rendering, perfect close-up of the bee busily at work on this blossom here. And then the bee in the background is way out of focus, but clearly that's still a bee. And we see the blur of the wings. Oh, everybody's busy. We're working really hard. And the photographer has captured the two of them in just a wonderful relationship. The colors of the flower, by the way, are wonderfully rendered, very strong, very bright highlights. It really is good. The Contrast throughout, the contrast in the bee that's in focus is delightful. Oh my goodness, look at all those hairs all over the outside of its body. This is an exciting picture. It really is wonderful. Good composition. Of course, the bee is dead center, but that's where it deserves to be. And then we've got the other one coming in from the left, and that really works to give us a diagonal element, a diagonal line through the photo. So action and static all at once. Wonderful picture and well handled. And gee whiz, look at the background, just so soft and blurred, just works perfectly. Next image, please.
69 autumns.
69 autumns. Wow. I don't know, I don't need to know what the title of the picture means, but uh, uh, this there is we've got another kind of distributed composition here in which the picture overall is the subject. Everything overall is the subject of the picture. But in addition, after you've started to take a look at the subject overall, you start to see that this is uh, featuring a single organism, this one big tree. The limbs of this tree all come to a junction at the bottom center of the picture. And from there, we can start to follow them back out. Once we find that bottom junction at the bottom of the picture, we can follow the branches back out and up to the corners of the image, and they just radiate, and they're covered with this everything in the picture is encrusted in this Spanish moss. And boy, doesn't that set a mood. Spanish moss really sets a mood. Walking through a forest where you have trees, lots of trees, all the moisture. There's somewhere in this picture, somewhere in this scene, there is a brook trickling along, a little stream trickling along, and I can just hear it in the back of my mind. And that's the only sound. The Spanish moss in all the trees around me soaks up all the rest of the sound. So, the mood in the picture, distributed composition, very effective. Next image, please.
Bayou country.
Yep. So here, once again, we have a very strong foreground composition. We have a row of trees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, cutting right across, almost like a wall between us and the rest of the picture. But then as soon as we get toward the left side of the picture, we see, oh, look, a line of trees leading back into the background. And then we can follow the stream along these leading lines down into the background, and it gives the forest a lot more depth. And speaking of Spanish moss, here's a whole bunch of it hanging from the trees, decorating I'm drawing a blank on the type of tree here, but anyway, decorating these trees beautifully. Now, it's almost a monochrome image, except for the bits of foliage, bright green and some reds and oranges, just kind of scattered around the picture as though almost an afterthought in the composition. And it adds tremendous charm, just a wonderful charm to the picture. Mangrove. I was trying to think of this is a mangrove stand. And so scattered among the mangroves were all these bits of color, uh, taking us away from a monochrome image into a charming color image. This is a real calendar shot here. Next image, please.
Antelope Canyon.
Antelope Canyon is really tough. It's a really tough place to shoot for lots of different reasons. One, the light is always such a pain. It's a really painful place to shoot in a lot of ways, unless the light is really right and you've got just the right channel to shoot through or to shoot up into. And here, uh, we're close, but no Cupid doll. We've got the highlights here are real low saturation. The texture is there, but it's kind of washed away a little bit. And then we're losing shadow detail in we have a very large mass running up the right side of the picture. And I know there's some shadow detail in there, and I think the photographer could work a little harder to bring it out, but it's not quite there yet. And perhaps a little bit better management of the highlights on the rocks too would help to manage the contrast, so that we have a little bit better tonal scale. Here, the tonal scale is a little bit long, and I think it could be a little bit shorter. In particular, the shadow detail, some black in the shadows here, might be helpful. Antelope Canyon is tough. This is a fun picture. It really shows off what the inside of the canyon looks like, what the inside of the rocks looks like. Just a little more work. Next image, please.
Okay, we've covered all of our images. We're going to take another 5-minute break, and then Steve will.
Oh,
Creative Intermediate, 1 image, first place.
Oops, sorry. Cursor.
Very nice.
beautiful.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth.
I knew that was
nice.
Elizabeth.
Thought that was hers.
That's at the Isabella Gardner Museum in Boston. So yes, lots of inspiring things. Thank you.
Beautiful.
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah, nice to
Isabella
see.
Gardner Museum is a wonderful place.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
Congratulations. Creative Advanced, 3 images, third place.
Thank you.
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
Thank you.
Nice.
This is from my wonderful upstairs deck. I'm already jealous. Yes, I'm thinking about cutting down my Monterey pine though, because it is obscuring my beautiful view. So thank you very much.
Congratulations. Second place, Tricia.
Thank you. This is
I love it.
actually the ceiling of a ship in Greece. We were with Rhodes Scholar on a trip, and it's reflecting the people sitting in the seats and then the words that are on the screen that's being projected. And I was just fascinated with all the reflections with this circular thing in the middle of it.
Mhm.
So thanks.
Very
Yay.
cool.
Cool.
So this is actually first place. The computer skipped one image. So congratulations.
Yay.
First place.
Hey, Tricia.
Congratulations.
First, second place.
Second place was Mark.
Okay, Mark.
Oh,
Oh, great.
Oh.
nice.
Ooh.
Very nice.
And Mark isn't here tonight, I don't think.
He's got that macro down.
Yeah, he really
No
does.
kidding. No kidding.
I wonder if that's a marble.
Oh, I think it's actually a
Bubble.
I
soap
think
bubble.
it's a bubble.
It is so round. It's spherical.
Creative Masters, 1 image, first place.
Very cool.
Yay.
Cindy.
Nice.
Yeah, that's so fun.
It is fun. I just tried some of this recently this fall, and we went up to some local tunnels and did it at night inside the tunnel.
Very cool.
So you
Very,
did it
yeah.
inside of a tunnel. Wow, that is so cool.
Well,
So is it steel wool, Cindy?
it
Yeah.
is steel wool. Yeah,
And you can't see the person spinning it. That's
Right.
cool.
they wear dark.
Okay, uh-huh.
Huh.
Neat.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Congratulations.
Mhm.
Journalism Advanced, 2 images, second place. Ellen.
Thank you. This was a treat to come across this small rubber farm and be able to get enough photos to tell the story.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah, it's fun to see.
Yep.
Love it.
So simple.
Mm-hmm. And then this one, wow.
Yeah.
Great shot.
Cool.
Congratulations. First place. Pat.
Scary.
Thanks.
It's just so frightening.
Yeah, he survived.
Oh, good. No broken limbs?
Well, he was hobbling, so who knows about that? He's a bull
Yeah.
rider. What can I say? They live dangerously.
Crazy.
They love what
Yeah,
they do.
no kidding. Wow.
Yeah, well done. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I like how you got the bull though.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's rolling all over him.
It almost looks like it's just sitting on him.
Gosh, and that rodeo clown's got a knee brace on like mine.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
It's hard
He's already injured.
Yeah, yep.
Wow.
Oh, golly day.
Or preventative.
Yeah, we're preventing that. Right.
Congratulations. Journalism Masters, one image. First place.
Oh, this is great.
Jennifer.
Jennifer.
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, this was such a fun event to go to. It was a totally bilingual event, and everything was in English and Spanish, and it was just the kids were just so interested in everything. Anyway, thank you. It was really fun.
That's cool.
Neat. Dia de las Mareas.
Congratulations. Monochrome Basic plus Intermediate, 2 images.
Just a second, Steve. I want to make sure I didn't miss somebody. My keyboard has been jumping around a bit.
Yes, the keyboards, the arrow keys get real finicky.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're good. I didn't miss any, but just kind of nervous. Okay, here we go.
Monochrome Basic plus Intermediate, 2 images. First, second place. Elizabeth.
This is another museum visit. It's actually inside at the De Young. It was their floral display, and it was the reflection of the floral arrangement against the wall.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, really cool.
No eclipse.
Good eye.
And there's a bird in there too, right?
Or a splat.
Where'd that bird come from?
Congratulations.
Very arty.
First place. Helen.
Oh, wow.
Helen.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Helen.
Exciting. First meeting.
Nice job.
Yay.
Hey.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thanks.
Where was that?
It was I was in South Africa in April at a game reserve called Mosetla in South Africa. So yeah, he was just laying in the road, curled up in a ball, and then he decided to sit up and just
Look right at you.
Look right at you.
Love the eyes. The
Yeah.
eyes are just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Beautiful animal.
Yeah,
Thanks.
well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Monochrome Advanced, 3 images. Third place. Mark.
So hard to shoot blackbirds.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
I'm gonna be
Get the
thinking
eye.
about levels and
You
contrast.
got the eye really well though.
Yeah.
And the beak.
Congratulations to Mark. Second place. Ronnie.
I figured that was
Beautiful.
Ronnie.
Thank you.
Ronnie
Thank you.
shot.
Your point about the vignette is well taken, so thank you.
Beautiful center though.
Looks
It's
like it
really,
could be a hat.
it's really stunning, Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It is nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations. First place, Tricia.
Very nice.
Yay.
This is inside the Legion of Honor, and it's a reflection of the
Free music.
statue. I don't know which statue it was. I was looking for something to photograph that wasn't somebody else's art, and this is what I found.
Very nice.
Good point.
Nice.
Yay.
Congratulations. Monochrome Masters, 6 images. Honorable mention, Bill.
Thank you.
Knew that was you, Bill.
Yeah, great
Yep.
painting.
Yeah.
In color, this is pretty distracting. The colors are amazing. And so I was trying to just capture the shapes. But I appreciate the comments about contrast. I'll focus on this some more. And I would like to make a tip. If you ever want to take pictures of racing cars at Sonoma Raceway, it's normally a very expensive affair and it's jammed with people. So you can't get anywhere near where you can take a good shot. And the good spots are always taken by paid photographers. But one day or 2 days out of the year, there's something called Lucky Dog Racing, where people in these clubs who work on their own cars have a chance to race in the major raceways. And so you show up on the day of Lucky Dog Racing and you get all the great shots, and there's hardly anybody in the grandstands because it's only family and friends of the drivers. And so it's a fantastic opportunity for photographers.
Let's make it a field trip.
Yeah.
I would highly recommend it. So it's February 14th through 16th coming up. And if you want to practice panning, and I certainly need more practice doing panning shots, it's a great way to do it because you can stand there for hours, just one after another.
Let's do it.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Honorable mention, Anne.
I thought that was an and picture.
Yeah, me too. I love it.
Yeah. Where was it, Ann?
This was up in Mendocino, no, near the botanical gardens. It was in the
Okay.
botanical gardens, and the fog was just lifting, and suddenly the sun just came pouring through the trees.
Wonderful.
iPhone,
Very nice.
iPhone or Fuji?
Oh, it's an iPhone picture, and I messed around with it quite a bit, as you can tell. So,
Spooky. No.
sharp.
Congratulations.
When I made it really sharp, it looked too cluttered, and so I liked it a softer image. I'm not sure if that works for everybody, but
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah, I
looks
love
like a charcoal sketch. You know, it looks like a
Yeah.
work of art. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hmm.
Honorable mention, Cindy.
I love
Amazing.
this.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Striking.
Hook 'em horns.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's great.
I
Wow.
didn't know they had these on the moon.
Yeah. Round off
So
the
funny,
edges.
Liz.
Round off the edges and call it Longhorn on the moon.
Ah,
Oh,
It's really fun.
Congratulations.
I don't know where that was.
Third place, Bill.
Thank you.
I knew that was you.
A tip here, Sail GP in San Francisco. Next one is March 22nd, 23rd. This is one of those rare events where you can get really close to the boats. You don't have to be in another boat to get a picture.
Oh.
I was on by the yacht club when I took this shot. They come in. It's dangerous for them to do, but they come in really close to the crowd on the shore. Great opportunity for action shots. Thank you.
Congratulations. Second place,
Tamara.
Tamara.
Oh,
It's like a tomorrow shot.
she's
Yeah.
so amazing.
And the tonalities are just perfect.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
She's so good with people.
Yes.
So much detail.
She sees so many interesting people.
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of Lou Jean,
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
right?
A former member for those of you who didn't know her.
Yeah.
And she lives in
Congratulations
Thailand.
to
Portraits of women.
Yes, exactly.
Congratulations to Tamara. First place, Tamara again.
Nice.
Beautiful. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
That
Did
could
she
be
come
pretty.
visit?
Yeah, how did she get here?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she should have come to the party.
She flew under the radar.
She lived in Sonoma, so I'm sure was in her.
Yeah. Wonderful image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Tamara. Pictorial, basic plus intermediate, 3 images. Third place, Martin.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Hmm.
Really great.
Thank you,
Great.
Monica.
Yeah, it was such a beautiful evening, and it just I love the mood in this shot. The guys are
Yeah.
played out,
Yeah.
heading home, and they're really tired.
Especially that guy in the front.
I know. Yeah.
That frisbee looks heavy.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nicely done.
Nice.
Congratulations. Second place,
Mm.
Helen.
Helen.
All right, Helen.
And this is amazing. Oh my God.
Thank
So
you.
He's great. Great face. Oh my gosh.
You could smell it.
Yeah, you almost want to cough.
Smoke is great. Yeah, it's a great picture.
He
It
probably
really
thought I
is.
was. He probably thought I was stalking him. I just waited for the moment for the smoke to blow.
Where did you get him?
That was up at a ranch, the V6 Ranch, up in California in Parkfield. It was
Nice.
a 2-day event of just sort of some Western stuff and just playing around, practicing.
Yeah. Oh, great face. You
Well
Wonderful.
done.
Gosh,
Well done.
beautifully composed too.
yeah,
Thank you.
perfect.
Congratulations.
Thank
First
you.
place, Martin.
That's a
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful
This is
shot.
a local wetlands that we have here, and I saw those vines. They lit up for just a few moments. It was very quick. The light was on them like that, and I tracked these birds coming in, and just to hit them at the right time.
Oh, neat.
Good.
Yes, you
Is
did.
that by Ellis Creek?
That's Ellis Creek.
Oh,
One of my
okay.
favorite places. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. Great
It's really
image.
gorgeous.
Yeah. Wow.
yeah. One's in breeding plumage, so really pretty.
I like
Yeah.
the crest on the first one's head.
Congratulations.
Really
you.
pretty.
It's great.
Congratulations. Pictorial Advanced, 5 images, honorable mention,
Oh,
So pretty.
Linda.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. That was the Crane Festival this year. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful thing to
Yeah.
see. It's
Very.
wonderful.
We
Wonderful.
had such great light from the sun behind the clouds. That was just gorgeous.
Crepuscular.
Yes.
Yeah, our new word.
I wrote that down. Thank you.
Congratulations. Honorable mention, Sherry.
Woo-wee.
Oh, thank you
Sherry,
very much. Yeah.
I love that picture
It's a
so
beautiful
much.
image.
That is
I've been
amazing.
waiting for you to submit it.
Oh, you're kind. Yeah, that was two storm fronts that came together and they formed like this double helix going up into the sky. And I have pictures earlier in the day, but when the sunset hit, the light hit it, it was just extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. That
Beautiful,
is an
amazing.
amazing photo.
Where did you take it?
This was in the Midwest over McCook, Nebraska.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that makes sense.
I want a t-shirt.
I know.
There we go.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Congratulations.
Mm.
Third place, Ronnie.
Oh,
Oh,
thank
very
you.
nice.
Beautiful. Nice, I
Steve
love
Gibbs,
it.
are you still here?
Who?
Steve. So Steve and I, went up to Lake Sonoma. We had been tracking the aurora for days, and it finally. I went outside. I stuck my iPhone up. I saw some magenta, and I raced up there. And there were a lot of people up there. And Steve was already there, so we shot together. And Jennifer, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah. So Jennifer, we never hooked up with Jennifer, unfortunately, but that was
a wonderful night. It
that
really
was quite a night. And really, I feel like I did dream it. So I still don't dream it. But the thing is that I don't know if anybody else saw this, but you don't see it with your naked eye. I didn't see this.
No, you don't.
No,
you
just
see
the
it in the back
faintest
of your
bit.
camera, but in your LCD screen, but you don't see it with your eyes. It's very bizarre.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was that Steve Gibbs?
Yeah. Yes. I think when you go to places where we see a lot of green, up in the northern latitudes, I think you do see it with your naked eye, but this wasn't visible.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty
So
exciting.
Nice reflection on the lake too.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Well done.
Color. Yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Second place,
Mhm.
Linda.
Oh, thank you. That was same place.
Sandhill Crane Festival.
The sunrise, and they were just absolutely beautiful. And that's cropped down quite a bit to get the lake out, and I just really fell in love with the birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
And
you.
these are Sandhill Cranes.
Yep, all Sandhill.
And they're noisy.
Yeah, they
Yes, they are. It's a great festival.
yeah, it really is.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations. First place,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Stephanie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful image.
Love his face.
Fantastic.
Wonderful capture.
Oh,
Probably one of the more special moments of all the times I've gone down to look at jaguars in the Fontenelle.
amazing.
Little cutie pie.
Yeah.
Chubby wrist.
It's
So where
beautiful.
was that, Stephanie?
This is in Meeting of the Waters State Park, which is a protected area in the Fontenelle in Brazil, where jaguars have a safe haven. So there's quite a few of them there, and there's a project there that gives them names and everything. So this particular cub just happens to be one of the more charismatic. I mean, everybody's in love with this cub, and we're waiting for the mother to kind of come around she was down the bank and led the cub up to the water's edge where it's really shallow in this area to try and, coax him into the water and teach him how to swim. It was just like the sweetest 20 minutes I've ever seen.
Oh,
Great image.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you for sharing it.
Yep, National Geographic.
Thanks.
Beautiful.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pictorial Masters, 5 images, Honorable mention, Herb.
Yeah, it's a Herb
Oh,
picture.
wow.
Definitely a Herb
Amazing.
picture.
That is not Herb's usual color palette.
No.
No, and where is Lori? She's not dressed in red.
A red jacket.
That looks like a stretch.
They're in New Zealand right now, so he couldn't be
Oh, wonderful.
here.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure he took this in Hawaii in Waimea
Yeah.
Canyon.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that
That's what it
sounds
looks
right.
like to me.
Oh, didn't he go on a helicopter?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's
hard to throw Lori out the window.
Oh,
Glad he did.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Herb. Honorable mention, Jennifer.
Mm,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, these are actually
Cypress.
cypress trees
Wow.
in the bayous near the Louisiana border in Texas.
Wow.
And what I loved most was the wind blowing through and waving that Spanish moss around. Thank you.
Colors are nice too.
You should enter all of your trees like this at some point.
Congratulations. Third place,
Mm.
Oh,
Tamara.
Barcelona, Spain. Yeah.
Wow.
The Sagrada Familia is one of my favorite pieces of architecture. And if you ever visit it, there's a little museum alongside it that explains how Gaudi came up with the design for the cathedral. And what it actually is a bunch of weights tied on a whole bunch of strings, and it pulls all the strings down. And what he did was he flipped it over, and that's how he came up with the cathedral.
Oh,
Oh, interesting.
let's see it.
yeah, I'd like to go.
And you can go into it and climb up in all the towers and look down and look all around. It's really spectacular.
I was there about 20 years ago, but it wasn't, it was still definitely under construction.
Is it still under construction?
it's still under
It will
construction
always
now.
be under construction.
Yeah, they say they're never going to finish it.
Right,
Sure.
right.
So,
It's like the Winchester Mystery House.
yeah.
It is the most interesting cathedral in all of Europe, I think, because it's different from every other cathedral.
Yeah.
Yes, for
It's
sure.
amazing.
Congratulations to Tamara.
It's fabulous.
Second place, Bill.
Oh,
Yay.
Oh, yeah.
Lovely image. I love the waves.
Bill, you're brave.
I can see right where you are, too.
We had I used Surfline to find the right day to be there. That we had something like 60-foot waves.
Wow.
What did you use?
Surfline,
Surfline.
the app you can run off your phone. Surfers use it to predict the really good waves, and so I use it for Goat Rock a lot. And this was a really good day, and sure enough,
Yeah.
Surfline didn't lie.
How far away were you?
I was actually fairly close. This is the edge of Goat Rock, and
Yeah.
The edge of the parking lot.
Yeah.
right on the rock. Yeah, right on
Yeah.
the edge of the rock. The tide was actually out. I wouldn't want to be
Really?
there when the tide was in.
Wow.
And it was
Could be risky.
it was going up just about the height of Goat Rock. The waves were
Wow.
floating up over.
Wow.
It's a beautiful image.
Yeah.
A lot of action.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
First place,
Oh.
Herb.
It's fabulous.
Now, that is his color palette. Totally.
Oh, man.
I know.
That's great.
Yeah, really uncluttered.
Congratulations to Herb.
Beautiful.
And best
Drum
of show
roll.
for the evening.
Drum roll, drum roll.
It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Oh. Brava.
That was the one.
Take a guess.
I already gave you the story of how she wound up here, so thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
image.
Well deserved.
Yes.
And
Thank
Len,
you very much, Len.
Man,
Yeah.
you're wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, Len, very
Thank
good.
you, Lynn.
critique.
Great critiques.
Yeah, wonderful,
Oh,
wonderful feedback.
Thanks, Lynn.
Linda, thank you for doing the titles with no warning at all.
Oh, it was so fun. I
Good job. Good job.
blew a couple.
Good job.
Well, thank you all for inviting me. It's always a pleasure working with you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you for
everybody.
having me.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Night.
Good night.